Hey guys, welcome back. It is Trekyards time. I am Captain Foley.
I'm Commander Coggins.
Josh
And
Irwin,
we have Josh
executive
Irwin
producer
here.
for Avalon Universe. You may know me as Commodore Austin on the show.
And we're glad to have Josh back. It's always fun talking with him. But we got something really cool to talk about today, and it's kind of like a new, old starship design. Not really a starship. Auxiliary craft. Shuttle, and maybe even. Why not? So, yes, we have a new shuttle for Avalon that we're going to take a look at. And Samuel,
Yes.
tell us a little about this shuttle.
Well, first of all, this shuttle was designed for the Avalon Alternate Universe fan film project, which is a multiple episode sort of arced story that you can spawn Indiegogo right now, and you need to let it be made because we have heavy ambitions, and I both do VFX for it and designs for it. And this is one of those designs which I put together because we needed a shuttle. I sort of convinced Josh not to do a normal shuttle, but I'm sure we'll do that in a minute. But yeah, it's an impulse shuttle. It's to replace the Type F, although it's not actually, we don't know if it's called Type F necessarily, because it's functionally a different thing. And we're going to look at it today and compare it to the evolution of the Avalon shuttle in comparison with the Prime Timeline shuttle.
A lot of the things that we're doing are we're trying to customize what we're doing to our own universe because we want the look to be different. But it's not just a matter of going, well, we want this to be unique to our own universe. There's got to be a reason for it. There's got to be a motivation behind it. And the motivation behind a lot of what we're doing is connecting the TOS era to other eras of Star Trek. And, like you said before, TOS is like a bubble of 60s tech. And so we're trying to take that era and connect it. And so there were some attributes taken from other shuttles in other eras and kind of merged with the sort of TOS design. Everybody likes shuttles, that's always one of the cool things in Star Trek, and so it was fun to create another shuttle but give it a technical purpose. Like this one is just like a starbase to ship impulse shuttle. It's not a warp driven shuttle, and so that's part of what makes it unique.
And remember the genesis of how the commission for it to come about came about. I mean, was Avalon Lost planning, because we had a shuttle in Ghost Ship, which was a much more Type F.
Yeah, so we knew in the script writing process for the particular film Avalon Lost that the shuttle was going to feature very, very prominently in it because we had to have an excuse to kill Tyler. So, we did the classic shuttle accident type situation. He was never going to survive. The tractor beam was never going to work. So, but we were going to heavily involve the shuttle in this, and so it was Sam's idea. He was like, well, wouldn't it be cool if we're going to see the shuttle so much to really, really punch it up and create something that's unique? If you're not warping out somewhere, if you're just going from the starbase to the spaceship, why not create just an impulse type shuttle with an updated look? And I said, oh, that would be such a cool idea. And he got to work, and he had something for me to see like within a week. And I love that. I think it's way cool.
And this is where I gotta jump in and say that I had a little bit of a hand helping with this, because he designed it or did some changes and showed it to me, and I'm like, there's still a little bit of problems with the lower pontoons there. They're not really warp nacelles, but so I kind of gave him a few suggestions and helped with this design process. So I really enjoyed doing that myself. So it's kind of a multi-tier project.
But what do you think of the design, Stuart? As we know, you're a heavy TOS fanboy and have had opinions on multiple visual reboots of Trek, and this is another one of those visual update, visual reboot.
Yeah, well, I think it fits really well, actually. I do like the whole different take on shuttles, because there would be different types of shuttles. This, of course, does include a lot of stuff that we see later in the movies. Those shuttles, and even the front, with the way you've got it kind of designed, it almost ties in with the shuttle you see in Star Trek 6, I believe, where they're taking the one that the Janolan, the Sydney class was based on. A lot of really cool design elements that it still feels very TOS, but it feels more functional and a little bit more realistic, if you will, especially with the thrusters on the back and things like that, which tie it in again with the later movies, kind of an evolution towards that. So, no, I think it's fantastic. And the fact that it's simply an impulse shuttle, there's no visible like tie-ins with the nacelles. to like the warp nacelles, I think is fantastic.
I think me and Stuart, we've gone around this a few times, but you can both argue the TOS shuttles do have warp and don't. They're sort of inconsistent. They have, obviously, warp nacelles that have all the bells and whistles of a warp nacelle, and also they have weird times when they travel weirdly far distances that would sort of imply warp. Otherwise, like the Galileo 7, it's like, are you really traveling sub-warp for that many hours to do that mission, really? But then also and you can't follow Enterprise. There's this, but it doesn't make sense to not have warp and so on. But I think we said, Josh, that hopefully, if the Indiegogo goes well and multiple more Indiegogos go well, we'll need a warp shuttle at some point, and that would just be a case of adding new nacelles on and then changing some of the power units to look as if a bit more beefy, because the fundamentals are there. This shell just has more internal volume used for storage and other such facilities, but a warp core, a minor warp core, just warp 1 is enough to be able to go from, months to not months. And that's enough of a difference for me, I think.
Well, and this particular shuttle was carrying cargo, very specific cargo between Starship and Starbase. So that particular shuttle may have been specifically designed for such a task. So
you can see the evolution of what I did to sort of iteratively change it. How the middle one is the Avalon shuttle, where it's got more glows. Some of the colours have changed. I took away some pieces. Just we've simplified it and elaborated it. Made it more interesting.
Yeah, you seem to have refined the design a little bit. Like taking away that back landing pad, probably a good idea. I think a lot of modern audiences look at that and go, "Why is that a thing?" It's always kind of befuddled me as well. So taking that away is fantastic. Changing the colors on the back to be red like Impulse. Again, simple little things that you've done to really kind of make it feel more in line with what we know. I do like the eventual addition of landing pads on the bottom of the pontoons. Makes a lot more sense. Looks like a more rugged shuttle for more rugged terrain, perhaps. Looks like the other ones could in fact be just for shuttle bays, shuttle hangars, not planet side. Yours seems a little bit more robust, the final Avalon one there. So,
but hopefully this shows the audience that it's both completely different and yet completely the same, which is kind of the key. This is what a visual reboot update should be. It's clearly what it is, and yet it's still got the hallmarks, the limitations. And for example, anytime we shoot with this in one of the Avalon films, we still have to use a TOS interior shuttle, so you've still got to have the 3 big windows. Although I removed the side door, which Josh now has to never shoot that door again because it doesn't exist in this one.
The thing that I notice about it, and the thing that I really like, is this: with all of the TOS era ships, they all have such smooth surfaces. They're not very detailed. They're just smooth surfaces. Of course, that changed in the motion picture era, but it seemed like the problem that they always had when they went from the original effect to like the remastered TOS is that because every ship had such smooth surfacing, it looked cartoony. Like the CG for TOS remastered, it looks cartoony to me. It looks like a cartoon. And I'd imagine that that's an inherent problem with trying to do any CG from that era, is overcoming that challenge. And what we've got here is something that's textured, and it's easier to light it, give it surface dimension, and make it look a little bit more real.
I'm going to have to disagree with that. I mean, there's a few episodes of remastered, like Miri, for example, sticks out in my mind that looks awful. The new effects for the Enterprise. They stuck too close to the original shots and just didn't have any creativity. Later, they do add a lot more. Like that model is pretty detailed. When you get close, like in Court Martial, where it flies by, you can see the panel lines in it. I as a whole, I disagree with you that it looked cartoony. But
Tomorrow is Yesterday is a good example. It was the beginning of the episode was good. The end was really frustrating.
Yeah. There are a few moments that I can see where you're coming from, but overall, I'd have to say I disagree. But yeah, more detail, hull plating, things like that, just simple little things really add to that realism that makes it pop.
I think there's a middle point between what you're both saying, because the TOS remasters don't look that expensive. They were not done at a premium level. And I always refer to Into Mirror Darkly. The space shots of the Connie in that episode look better than anything in the remasters. They look more real, more fluid, better resolution. And so you can make, while it's out of context most of the time, that shot where it comes in and destroys the Andorian, next to highly detailed models, it looks more advanced than them. It looks cleaner, more iPhone-like in advance. It looks better than the more detailed ships because of the way it's shot, the extra details they added. It's just the way the remasters were done. They were done with a sense of, let's replicate the 60s, but a bit better, rather than let's make new visual effects with a ship, which is how I do my effects. It's not about replicating the past, it's about understanding what the ship can and can't do, because fundamentally, Doug Drexler for Continues used it as a miniature, so it was limited by its 6-foot miniature origins. You got a good sense of scale, but limited movement. Doug, it's not a model, it's a ship flying through space. It's not a miniature on a soundstage in the context of the story. So I think both work well, and for Avalon we've simply just the most simple thing is just added more lights to the Connie, because then you can use more dark spots. You're not afraid of the darkness if you've got self-illumination. It creates more interesting highlights, although there is still an innate need to see the Connie to make it sort of sing. Have these still bright lights on it, because it looks good bright. So it's a weird dichotomy there.
All right, so I guess the next question would be for you, Samuel, as well. What was your thought process when you knew in your mind you had to recreate or add to or take away, maybe even in some cases, from this shuttle design? Walk us through your process.
Well, as soon as Josh said yes, I was like, damn, what am I going to do here? And also, I knew that we've had some wonderful versions. The J.J. Abrams films have lots of iterations, and John Eves has a great sketchbook with alternates where he tried to stay closer to the original. And you've got Tobias Richter's TOS updated one for the Axanon project. So there are other visually updated TOS designs. So I said to myself instantly, don't look at them. Don't try and take or not take. Just break down the design itself and say, well, what can you do to the raw shapes that links and feels natural? Because better people have done better designs than me, but if I just express what I think, then it's hopefully that will connect. And so instantly it was a case of I brought it in, I made some orthographics based on our existing model. I started streamlining out certain shapes. I refined the front, I added more points, but also I removed those top weird angles that, okay, why are they there? I don't know. And then once I had a sort of a new shape where I also refined down the pylons and the how deep things were, and then you start saying, well, what actually is the point of this ship? We had a warp nacelles until quite late, so I was like, well, that's what you have. But I suddenly realised, well, why has it got warp? Like, it shouldn't have facades. That's silly. It can't warp. And yeah, Stuart recommended, when I got to that final stage, rather than having this clearly, he said, remove the circle from the front, basically. Take a new shape, and I sort of sketched a new shape to make it look different. And I thought, up detail the bottom, because I like the fact the runabout has a visible warp core. There's some precedent for that. And TOS is all about the sleek, smooth, but then I thought, well, if we include it on the bottom, then it's hidden from most incidents, and it's also easy to repair, because you need something that can just be repaired on the fly. That's why you have panels normally. The NXO one, you assume that each plate can be removed and the stuff fixed. That's useful, so hence why it's got stuff at the bottom. Then you got these side compartments again. Each one is meant to link to a subsystem. So one is the outer repair node for the shield, the air conditioning, the life support, the weapons, but all those different systems that you can repair from the inside, or if you need to from the outside, you can as well. I'm assuming a lot easier. Adding visible doors, pieces that were subtle yet there. I mean, I think you can understand quickly. That's what they are. In England we have these big buses that have. The coaches, and obviously, higher up there's the living bit, but then lower down you got the storage bit, and they're just these big doors that you just slide open, and that's where you put the luggage. So I think people understand that concept of storage, so I thought I'd incorporate it there. And then the back is the most radical change, because I never liked the side door. It seemed very odd. Why would you put it right next to the pilots when most people are past the pilots? And then all the text at the back. So I thought, well, no, every other shuttle from the future has a back aft door. so let's do that. I mean, it was pretty simple, and then just move the impulse engines, make them visible was important, because again, you want to know every bit of function, and then we start putting all these things together, you come up with these new shapes and these new pieces, and then to top it all off, an escape door at the top, because I thought, hey, what if that door breaks? You need an escape hatch, but really it's just this rectangle set of details, but, you know, it's got this little openable hatch, a la NX-01 shuttle pod, so you've still got a connection to the older stuff as well, if you need to. We haven't really discussed if, you know, who knows, Josh, we might have more ships in the future that might need to have, you know, quick fire drop bays where they're launched, where they're loaded from the top. Why not? I mean, that'd be kind of cool to have, like, you know, 8 shuttles dropping and then landing. I mean, who knows? Sky's the limit. So that was kind of my thought process. Refine the shapes and do something a little bit different, but still be familiar.
Yeah.
One thing we talked about while we were looking at the designs was, I brought up, you know, you see these storage compartments on the TOS shuttle, you know, they open it or whatever, and they're phasers or tricorders or whatever, but then they shut it. Where is it? You know, because like on the outside of the shuttle, there's nothing bulging out. There's no compartment. It's like TARDIS or something. Like they're just open it and there's stuff in there. You know, like where is that compartment? And so like, the thing that's cool about this is that those spaces are visible, and then you've got that big impulse engine on the back that is a big, you know, powerful impulse engine that's visible. You can see the power that it must have in it, you know, because it looks like it's a much more souped up engine than what was on the other design.
Like what you guys are doing with the Avalon universe, kind of having like variants of ships, just subtle little things. So this really fits in with that design aesthetic.
We want to really continue to evolve this and continue to experiment with cool and new things. You know, this isn't like a Phase 2 or a Star Trek Continues. This is a playground. We're not trying to remake something else. We're just having a good time, imagining new possibilities and designing new things and having a good time. We're playing Star Trek, fans having a good time. And we want to do it more, and we do need a little bit of help to do that. So, you know, the more that people can contribute to our crowdfunding, to our Indiegogo, the bigger scale we can make this, or the more fun things we can add. We'd like to do things in the future like 3D print new versions of phasers or tricorders, things like that. So the more that we can bring in from the fans, the more we can give the fans. So I would encourage anyone who is enjoying this to go check out our crowdfunding campaign. I guess the link's in the description here, and help us out.
Yeah, and by all means, guys, go ahead. If you're a Star Trek fan, especially a TOS fan, you got to check out Ghost Ship. You got to check out all the other projects that they've done so far. It's really cohesive and fun. And speaking as a TOS guy, I love the changes they've made, even to the LCARs and just subtle little things. It really pulls you in, and yet still feels TOS while being different. So check it out, guys.
And we might be seeing, Stuart, one of your unique designs here coming up in one of our upcoming projects. So.
And just to, you know, do the shameless thing is that I think that the motto of this universe is really just do a faithful, respectful visual update to a modern century of the original 60s. Unlike certain modern shows where it's a case of let's, you know, throw out the baby with the bathwater and build something new. The aim is to actually visually update it, not throw it out. And the more, like I say, I'm excited for the more projects we can do, because it allows us a chance to just do that. And there's so many things we could. I mean, there isn't that many ships, stations, pieces of props in the TOS universe. So it'd be brilliant if we get, you know, months, years down the line, and we can see this Avalon universe, what a version of updated TOS universe would look like, and fans can just enjoy stories in the same time, but looking a bit more modern.
Exactly.
So yeah, support the Indiegogo now. It's still got about a week to go. You've seen there's been 3 videos, one about the project, one about the new Connie, released Mark 1.1 Connie, and then 1.2 if you include the Pure Launcher. And we'll do more episodes on the new Bird of Prey and the new D7, again, Avalon variants, when they're more done, because this show is actually done. So hence it can be shown, because it's done. The one's not done yet. But we need the money, seriously, because Josh was very good to self-invest, and this is one of those things that you see, because he invested his own money into getting stuff like this built. for you guys. I mean, he could have just used a Type F and saved himself some money and some time and some, but no, production quality comes first, and so that's something to be respected, guys. And you know, we certainly try, and Stuart's there too to help. I'm sure I'll come to and ask. You know, hopefully we'll do K7 at some point, and I'll talk to Stuart as well and get that looking sexy and
we
support.
couldn't be more thrilled, and we couldn't be in better hands than working with you guys. And I think all of fandom knows and recognizes that.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. And on that note, Josh, thank you very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. And we do have more stuff coming up, as Samuel said, a new reimagined D7 and Bird of Prey from this era. Looking forward to those as well. So stay tuned, guys. But in the meantime, by all means, check the description down below. Click the link. Head on over to the Indiegogo. Support these guys. Check out everything else they've done. They've done some fantastic work, and it's worth checking out. So I guess that's it, guys. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click the notification icon and join our social media. Again, all those links as well are down below. But by all means, click the Indiegogo one first.
Thank you.
A lot of links, a lot of things. And until next time on Trekyards and Avalon Universe, I am Connor Coggins.
I'm Captain Foley.
Commodore Austin on Avalon Universe. In real life, I'm Josh Irwin.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.